let's create the graphical elements of our app. In our PCL folder, right-click, Add New File, and we want Forms, Content Page, XAML. And I'm just going to call this Main Page and hit New. And you should be familiar now with the XAML and the code behind the XAML. So inside our content page.content, we're going to create the actual graphical parts of our app. Now the first thing we're going to do is actually, before content page.content tags, we're going to put in some padding, because we don't really want our app to go all the way to the edges of the screen, except in special design cases. And the way we do our padding is by typing content page.padding and put the extra tag in there. And then inside of here, we're going to actually specify this on a per platform basis. So we're now coming to the point where we can, inside the XAML, which is shared across all platforms, we can actually define the padding differently according to which platform we're running on. And so we need an X, we need a type arguments, and we have to give this a thickness like so, and then we have to define it per platform. So we'll say for iOS, I would like you to have paddings of 20, 40, 20 and 20. And then for Android, let's have an even 20 all around. And the reason it's different from the iOS 40 value is because on iOS we have a top bar that sits at the top of our screen. And then we're going to put in WinPhone. We're not going to compile for WinPhone, but I'm just going to put it in there for completeness. So that's 20 all around again. And then we can close off that tag. So that's going to give us some decent padding. Okay, now that we've done that, we need to create a stack layout inside the content area. So just type stack layout, and then we need some vertical options. Where are we going to place it? Let's try first fill and expand, and we need the same for horizontal options, and again fill and expand. I might actually change this to center in a bit. And we need an orientation for the stack layout, and that's vertical. And then we can have a spacing between our elements. So let's have, I don't know, 20. Let's see what that comes up with. And close that off, put the next tag in, and then I'm just going to indent things to make it more readable. Something like that. Then inside of this stack layout, we're actually going to place all of our elements. So, as this is so simple, all we're going to do is have a label, a text entry box, and a button. That's it for this app. So, let's do the label, and the text of our label is equal to, let's see, I will call it just do it. There we go. And we'll close off that. Then we need an entry box, and this is simply called entry. So this is a text edit box, or I forget what it's called on all the platforms, but basically the box you can click in and enter text. We have to give this box a name so we can reference it later, and we will call it task text. And then if we like, we can give it some default text, but we won't do that. What we're going to do is put a placeholder in. So when this is empty, it shows us a sort of light grey or light white background text telling us, hinting what we should put in here. So in our placeholder we'll write enter task ... and then we'll close that off. And finally we need a button, and this of course needs a name, and we will call this save button. Never mind my bad typing. And this needs a text to display on the button. We'll just call it save. And then there are various other things that we can do on here, so I'll just do them for completeness so you know. You have an is enabled, so you can grey out this button if you wish, and I'm just going to have is enabled set to true. So if you wanted to grey out a button because someone hadn't entered some text, you would set it to false until they actually entered the text. And then finally we have a clicked event, and this is going to fire off one of your methods in the code behind this, and we will call this on save clicked. And we haven't created that yet, but that doesn't matter. And then close off your tags. So just always double check your tags line up. We have our stack, we have our content page, we have the padding, etc. Okay, let's save that, and I'm just going to run it and check that the graphics all line up well. And oops, there seems to be an error, so I'll come back to XAML and stop that. And I know what it is. In too much of a rush, I've forgotten to actually set the main page of the app to the one we've just created. So let's remove the default one inside justdoitx1.cs, and we will just have a new justdoitx1.main page. And let's try that again, shall we? Okay, welcome to our first error. It says there is no method onSaveClicked. So even though we didn't actually try to call it, it still threw us an error. So I'm just going to stop that, and I'm just going to put an empty method in to our code behind file. So inside our class here, let's go ahead and fire up our async void, what did we call it? On save clicked, I believe. And then we need an object sender and event args e, and then create our method. And of course we don't need to do anything in here. If we like, we can write something to the console, but we won't for now. So let's run that and check if that's done the trick for us. And there we have it. We have our label, we have our task entry box, and we have a save button that doesn't do anything right now. Okay, I'm just going to run this on the Android player and actually see what it looks like. So I'll stop it on there, hit my droid, and let's do set a startup project, and just run it on the one we currently have running, which is that. And there we have it. Okay, I think I would actually like to center all of these, but that's up to you. You don't actually have to do this. So in my XAML, I'm just going to change the stack layout to center and expand. Then I'm just going to see what that looks like. I'll just do it on the iPhone first of all, because that's always much, much faster to actually compile. Okay, there we have it in the center. Now, it doesn't look great at the moment, but I'm going to leave it up to you to jump onto the Xamarin website and look up the XAML specifications and see how you can change the colors, the backgrounds, the width of things, etc., etc. Okay, in the next lesson we're going to throw some code into this project so our task gets saved whenever we click the save button.